Hello guys, welcome to fifth video of this tutorial series in Android application development using Kotlin. So today I'm going to talk something about linear layout and relative layout. Up till now we've been only using linear layout and I think we've got some grasp about how linear layout works, but in this video we are going to contrast between linear layout and relative layout and what are the basic differences and how we can also use linear layout. Basically in our application later on we're going to be focusing on another form of representation called constant layout, but I think for you to become an Android developer, I think you need to understand what these basics are too. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and learn about linear layout versus relative layout, how to implement them and what are the differences. So I'm going to build a very simple UI just so you can understand how these things are different today. So here I have a linear layout, and I've already told you in the previous video also, linear layout, there are two forms of orientation of components in your linear layout. That means your component can be placed in two different orientations. The first orientation is vertical, where the components are vertically placed after one another, and the another orientation is horizontal, where the components are horizontally placed. So here I have a linear layout. Let me close this for a moment. Anyway, this is again a brand new project. I'm not going to be running anything today. I'll just show you the UI part, not any Kotlin part today. So yeah, we just focused on activity_main.xml today. So here I have a linear layout with a width match parent and height match parent. You know what they do now, and orientation is given as vertical. So let me go ahead and define a button here. So I give wrap content. Okay, wrap content. Let me give it text. Maybe first button. Let me zoom this so that you can see what's happening here. Okay. So I guess it is visible to you now. So I'm not going to implement any IDs today because I'm not going to take this to the class part. So just end it there. Now I'll add another button here. So button, maybe wrap content, and text, second button. So as you can see, the orientation here is vertical, hence the component here appears vertical. The first component always appears from this top left side of your screen, and then the second component comes just below that screen. So let me change this vertical to horizontal and see what happens. So I guess you understand now. So there are two orientations, one is horizontal and the other is vertical, and the components are placed in a similar way. Let me try something else. What if I needed a third component somewhere around here now? Okay, somewhere around here. What would I do if I were to only use linear layout in this case and place a component somewhere below first button after this? So there's a way to do that too. So what I can do here is I can change this to vertical first, and I can define another linear layout inside this, wrap content, and this will be given an orientation of horizontal. Okay, and to be closed here, and this layout is going to be closed. The second linear layout is going to be closed here. So I have a separate linear layout component inside a linear layout which has a vertical orientation. So this first component has a vertical orientation, which is true. And now if I define any other component here, maybe a button here, then it definitely comes below that. Okay, so even if you have one orientation in the beginning, it's not that you cannot place component other than that orientation. You have a workaround around those two. Okay, so let me give this third button. So yes, we can do it in this way. Let me push this into the center. Now how would I push this into center? You always know that the component starts from the left hand side. Okay, so now how would I push this into the center? Let me give a gravity here, gravity center. Okay, gravity center would not work, so maybe it's layout gravity center. Let me give a layout gravity here to center. So yes, this way the button goes to the center. Let me give a layout gravity center here too. Layout gravity center here too. So see, it automatically goes to the center of the screen. Okay, what if I need exactly 3 components in this first line? Okay, let me change this width to match parent. Okay, so match parent means the complete screen is occupied here. Okay, so what if I need 4 components in between these? Okay, what if I need 4 components in between the first space here, and those 4 components need to occupy the exact space? You've seen the calculator layout, right? So in the calculator layout, what happens is you have a display screen here, and then the numbers are 7, 8, 9, and then another sign, and then 4, 5, 6, another sign. They occupy almost same size in one complete width. So like, how can we do that? I'm just going to show you one example of that. Okay, so let me change this button to 7 for now, and then this to 8. Let me add another button here. Add content. ID. I just need text and 9 here. Let me add one more. I'm just going to copy this. Okay, you can just type it on your own. I don't want to make this video any longer, so let me give a divided sign here. So if you see, there are still spaces left here, but I can impose linear layout to occupy. I can impose linear layout for all of these buttons to occupy equal space and then fill this gap here too. So what I'm going to do is, and it's only possible in linear layout. Okay, I can assign a weight sum here. So weight sum, how many buttons are there? There are 4 buttons. Okay, so I assign weight sum to an area now. Okay, and inside that area, each and every component gets a linear layout weight of layout weight of 1. So layout weight 1. Layout weight 1, and another layout weight of 1. So now, as you can see, these 4 buttons have occupied equal space here now. Okay, so yes, these are the workaround that you can do in linear layout. Basically, remember, linear layout supports only 2 orientations, horizontal and vertical. Besides that, you can also define linear layout. Inside linear layout, if the top one is vertical, the inner can have horizontal, or if the top one has horizontal, the inner can have vertical also. So yeah, you can find that workaround also. And one property of linear layout, if you want your screen to be occupied properly, then you can use this property of weight sum and layout weight. Remember, weight sum is applied to the area where you want that property, and layout weight is provided to that component with whom you want to occupy that area. Okay, so yes, now we want to do something with relative layout now. Okay, I hope you understand linear layout. So I'm going to remove all of this. If you want to just copy it, I'm just going to show it to you for some time. Okay, these are the codes on the first part. I'm going to scroll down, and then these are the codes on the second part. You can just pause the video and then see the code, or just copy the code to your screen back. So let me remove these things and then go on to relative layout. Okay, relative layout, it again needs a width, as I told you, width, match parent, and then one thing I'd like to tell you about or talk to you about is this XMLNS. Well, we'll give height first and then we'll talk about XMLNS. Match parent. Okay, Remember you did C and C++ programming, you always had to write hash include stdio.h or hash include conio.h. Those were header files. These are header files here for Android. If I remove this, what happens is these Android components cannot be used. So these are header files for those Android components here. Okay. Now if I want to give an orientation here, I could give an orientation, but it would not actually work here. So there's no use of giving an orientation here. What I can do is I'm going to define a first component here, maybe a button. Let's write a button. Again, a width. Sorry. Oh, I should not have closed this here. So I should close it here, and then a button goes inside. So a button width is maybe wrap content. Height also wrap content. I give a text. Maybe first button. Okay. Okay. What happens if I give a second component here? Just see. I haven't given any orientation. I haven't written anything. So what happens if I give a second component here? Button. Wrap content. Wrap content. I guess you see here, right? The second component is actually overlapping here on top of first component. Let me give a text here. Maybe second button. Now you can see it's completely occupied there. I'll give another component here, maybe a text view. Okay, we'll give wrap content, text, relative layout, implementation. And the text size, I'll increase this text size to maybe 50 dp. Okay, or maybe 40 dp. So as you can see, everything comes from the top left side of the screen. So how do we place component in this case, in case of relative layout? Well, from the term relative layout also you can understand that each and every component is placed in relation to each and every component. Okay, just think about it. If you place the first component there, called first button here, the second component is placed in relation to first button. Where do you want it? You want the second button to be at the side of first button, or to be at the bottom of first button, or below first button, or like where do you want it? Okay, components, you place the first component, and then the second component, the third component are actually placed in relation to the previous components placed there. So now what do I do? Okay, if I want to change the placement of this component to the first component, I first need to identify the first button here. Okay, how do we identify any component from UI file? We've already done this previously. I think it was in video 1, video 2. Okay, we've already done this. Do you remember? Just think about it. What do we use to define a component in UI file? Yes, it's an ID. So @+ maybe btn first. Sounds good. Let me now, if I want to place this second component in position to first component, maybe I want to place it below first component. So what would I do? I would write layout below @ID and btn first. See, now that's how you place this component. Okay. Now maybe I want to place this text view to the right of first button. Okay, to the right of first button. So let me go layout right of, or maybe I can just write right of to right of first button. See, now it goes to the right of first button, but I still have an I hidden here, right? I still have an I hidden here. See, you see these lines, it goes exactly to the right of first button, but it does not care about this second button component. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to place this component to the right of first button but below second button. So how do I do that? I also need an ID for second button here. So let me give btn second. below BDN second. So here it is. It's exactly on the right of first button and below second button. Okay, so in case of relative layout, components are placed in relation to one another. The first component always starts from the top left corner of your screen, but the second component or the third component is placed in relation to its previous component. It can either be previous one component or previous many components there, like we've implemented previous two components here. Okay, so I hope you understand the difference between linear layout and relative layout. In the upcoming videos, up to a certain point we will be using linear and relative layout, but after that we'll be moving on to constant layout. I'm going to do a separate video about constant layout too, because those are very popular these days, because they actually match the component to screen ratio, so that in each and every screens the application is running, the component is shown in a good size and not small somewhere or big somewhere. Okay, so I hope you understood the concept of linear layout and relative layout. We'll keep on implementing it, and you'll also understand the implementation, or you'll also understand it during the implementation phase. So thank you for staying, or thank you for watching this video. In the upcoming video I'm going to take you to list view. So do subscribe to the channel. If you have any problems, do comment down below. See you in the next video.